I think about the word psycho, and I think often that people that are deemed psychotic or psychos are often dismissed. They often that term is used to block away whatever somebody's saying, to basically devalue whatever their opinions are of something. I think oftentimes my students that I work with are considered psychos. I work in juvenile detention facilities around Los Angeles. Oftentimes these students are brushed off to the side. They're just crazy. They're wilding out. They're not in their right heads, and they send them to these different places. When oftentimes my students are just trying to look for a way to let out something that's in them, usually coming from wild circumstances that they don't have an option to be able to control. Oftentimes they felt like they were the good kid and never got candy. So sometimes they took it upon themselves to get some. Tupac said, like, I can't tell you what to do if I'm not going to feed you. I think about this often when I think about my students. A lot of my students do a lot of crazy things, but with the idea of that they got to do it. They got to eat. They got to survive, and a lot of times nobody's there helping them. So my set and a lot of my work is usually dedicated to my students and to the stories that they often don't get a chance to tell, or to the stories that often get thrown away because they're labeled as something. So you want to hear some poems? Yeah. Here it goes. If these walls could talk, they'd yell and creak into place like old bones. They would whisper about failures and triumphs. They'd beg for honesty, say that they could no longer hold all these hustled secrets, how they swell like driftwood with every muffled weep. They'd say that insecurities and doubts steam like boiling water, that this home is a pressure cooker with no vents, a bomb waiting to scorch. This home leaks old paint from its skin, turns everything to the first hour of what dreams may come. It comments on how the grinding of teeth sound like the aches of its hinges. If these walls could speak, we'd mirror humidity and anxiety, how both sweat when the lights are off and the air is recycled, how the warmest part of their body is the room we choose to rest in. They tell me that when they are alone, the entire apartment sways with old memories, that my breathing was its favorite song, that one time I almost stopped playing it and it was the most helpless they had ever felt. They remember when I was a child, crying in an empty body, tattooing their skin with the inches I would grow, how when they were trees, the sky was once the walls that held them. And we all trudge through grime to find out how beautiful the sun can be. How sometimes we don't notice it until we're gutted into becoming someone else's safe space. A place to blossom fresh in. Grow strong until hollowed for someone new. If these walls could talk, they wouldn't. They'd sit silently and nod as if there is nothing to say. Nothing but just enough strength to hold the roof up. Just enough memories to keep the walls from caving in, with eyes for windows and scars like scuffs on the floor. So, I think, like, a lot of what my young people deal with is their own personal traumas, right? And I think that there's a certain level of trauma that comes with working with these young people. I think oftentimes I look out at, like, my classroom and they just seem like young people that are ignored. I mean, they put these facilities as far away as they can, or they hide them in the mountains in Calabasas, like legitimately, or in Lancaster, as far as away they can. We're like really their friends, family, parents. They can't come visit because it's far, and so it hurts to deal with a lot of these young people and to just try to give them a little bit of release, but knowing that they're stuck in this pipeline that's designed to keep them in these systems. And Los Angeles incarcerates more young people than anywhere else in the country, predominantly black and brown. This story is about Ricky Mitchell. Heavy as a gun, a stack of poems with enough lead to make a bullet. His name scribbled like a tag, a manifesto of survival. While incarceration plays the clock and the calendar like an uptight conductor, we record our music and become our favorite songs. Stories about dreams, about friends gone too early, about family missed, but all the melodies sound like warnings. All the music glows like an exit sign, like an ending come too soon, before 20 years grows into a memory, before owning a car becomes a burden in LA, or renting an apartment and turning it to sanctuary, before leaving his city and letting happiness partner guilt. I archive all the hymn I can find. I let my mind drift to apologies. If all these poems about change still allow him to slip away, have I not failed? Was I the last one to try before found him? He, another coat to carry, another teenager gone, leaving guilt as the only survivor. I neglect myself as a coward suicide. How the importance of living gets tied to this ministry of work. How every day is a tug at my own rope, a tightening around fortitude. Ask me why he was locked up in the first place. Why I found him in a camp. Ask if his grades were good, if he was gang affiliated. Then take the bus to his house at night, or when the winter hides your safety in a sunset early. Then ask, how does one survive without affiliation? When the cold becomes a countdown to your annual trigger, does death make change impossible? Will hurt always be the loudest relative at our gatherings? Is trauma the only gift Los Angeles grandfathers its educators? Will all my ghosts be children? When my words don't hold weight and guns seem heavier? Thank you. So the other day, somebody, I could just say that. The other day, somebody knocked on my door. They wanted a small donation towards a local swimming pool they were building, so I gave them a cup of water. I'm just kidding. I didn't answer the door. So I'll do one last piece, and I think there's a lot of joy in these places. It's really fun. Like a lot of the work we do is like geared towards creating like hip hop, right? And like writing verses. And it's funny like how like education is like deemed, is counted, right? And a lot of times you ask the kids to be like, let's study these things, or let's break it down, let's write an essay, and they're like, fuck that, I'm not doing that. But if you tell them sit down and write a 16-bar verse using multisyllabics while telling a story in pace and rhyming all the way through it, they'll do it in 10 minutes. And it'll be the most brilliant piece of work you've ever created. But they won't get graded for it. They'll have like stacks and stacks of composition notebooks just filled with stories. Some of them about riding out on their enemies and killing them, yes, but some of them, most of them, about overcoming. I think like the idea of hip hop, right, of rap, right, and like a lot of people like really shun gangster rap, and they're like, oh, you know, and I get it, like everything has its place. Like I'm not trying to like turn up at 7 a.m. Everything has its time, but I think oftentimes these stories are important, and it gives voice to these people who often feel voiceless. And so a lot of the work I've been trying to create has been trying to speak in the voice of my student, which happens to be in limericks, in rhyme. And so here's a poem. Want to hear it? Yeah. Here it goes. I've been searching for joy, circumventing all pleasure. Stumbled into my voice, vices switch with no effort. Knowing life's not forever, I'm trying to keep it together. Burdens heavy as ever, I'm living life like whatever. Most people say that's not clever. But if you come from a perfect climate, I do not expect you to understand my weather. I know you feel indifferent. You couldn't survive this mission. The devil's finger licking, reading all my boys' submissions, and my path to redemption comes from the lines that I've written, in hopes that God will listen and chill amongst y'all as a witness. I'm washing dishes in the kitchen of my soul. I stay spiritual and immature with time to pack a bowl. I'm a Gemini, I'm back and forth. Look back on past and ask for more when I was just a rascal still. A mixed boy raised in Jacksonville, didn't have a lot. I learned to steal when mama used to whip us still, and she could walk around all day and didn't stay in hospitals when leftovers were more normal. A time portal to a time sober with more morals. We're so hollow. A soul hollers for more morsels to eat, but you can't follow when God speaks. A moment for your pen to compete. I'm on track to take seat. Wherever God asks me lead. Immortal lessons when I take time to teach about progression with the life that I lead. The heart that will bleed when judgment is casted to my students and the life that they need to stay alive in these streets. There ain't no fame in deceased. My little brothers lose their life to this heat. The type of struggle make the mightiest weak, minus a stable environment to compete. Prey on the mind of the weak. Marketing music selling nothing but schemes. I tell them ain't what it seems. I show them welcome to this planet of dreams, but my soul's to the breeze and I'm hoping to leave. I'm coping with trees and ashing love to all my brothers that leave, because after all, I'm just a mixed boy. I'm dyslexic. I caused havoc with a pen tip. I was mentioned by some weak boys that started shivering from my language. I was passed out. I was anguished. I was messed up. I was God's gift. I was telling friends that I'm a hard shift and been writing like a manuscript. Had to tell the world I'm not having it. This world's scared of pain, but we grew up taking baths in it. Been nice since the bass in it. Real life, no laughing, man. Don't act like it's not happening. When children lose their life, where does this tragedy and sadness end? These young boys pulling triggers quicker than they learn to sign their names. They rap out killing enemies, the only way to ease the pain. Don't ask about what the scriptures say. Jesus wasn't here today. I heard God whisper through the wind. We talk on life about every day, and she knows that I found a way. I've been writing raps, putting rhymes away. I've been making bread, ain't got time to play, and I knew that I had dues to pay. Instead of being another body laid out on the news today, I've been writing raps. I've been a truth to blaze. I had to speak my heat or I'd go insane. Thank you, guys.